Prakash, good morning. The next one, of course, is, relevant from a stock point of view also, but it's such almost an emotive kind of discussion, right? IT and TCS in terms of what they announced in terms of cut to the workforce, global workforce spread out over the next 1 year or so.
Right.
Rima is joining us. Nimesh is here. Of course, Surabhi, Nigel and Prakash, of course, are with us as well. Let's just get the news first out of the way. By the way, we discussed this on Editor's Playbook on last week. I mean, you can go to CNBC-TV18 Access and, we spoke about it for about 35, 40 minutes before all this happened. So, in a way, was very, very timely to have that discussion. So, lots of perspective there if you want to check it out. But Rima, take us through this one in terms of how the street is viewing this.
Well, let's just start with the news, right? And the big numbers. So India's largest IT company, TCS, the bellwether for the tech industry, is cutting their headcount by nearly 2%. Now, on an employee headcount base of 6 lakh plus, we're talking about 12,000 jobs. Who will be affected? Mid to senior level, and this will play out over FY26. Now, the company in their press release says that this is about making TCS future ready. But in an interview to Money Control, Kriti Vasan, the CEO, said that it's not about AI and it's not about hiring less. The key problem is a demand skill set mismatch. Right? Over some time now, TCS has been reskilling and upskilling their employees and trying to redeploy them. But in some cases, this redeployment was not possible, and those people have been given the pink slip. So the basic problem is a skill set mismatch in the current AI automation age. But you can't forget that demand has been slowing down. Things are uncertain. Margins have been under pressure. The company itself has been fairly cautious. Remember, they deferred the wage hike, and it's rare coming from TCS. Global giants have been cutting down their workforce. So this year itself, Microsoft has had 2 rounds of, axing. 15,000 employees have been let go. There were reports that IBM, about 8,000 employees have been let go as AI has taken over the HR function. It's happening globally, but it's never happened in India. And it's never happened with, say, a company like a Tata Group company like TCS. So which is why it sent a little bit of shockwaves. From a market point of view, the analysts I spoke to, they kind of said that, they've done the hard thing. So, there will be some margin savings, but this is more of a human story and not so much of a number story to, what happens to their wage bill and hikes, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So the math will obviously go in favor of margins, just save that much on salary costs. But the bigger question for the market is whether this, heralds a new pivot, a new way of thinking or not. Nimesh is joining in. Nimesh, we were discussing exactly this last week, right? And maybe we don't have the answers. In that press release, if they'd mentioned a massive, some big move on R&D, on AI or an acquisition, I would have been maybe happier. But that's missing. Your thoughts?
Well, Surabhi, we discussed this, right? And one of my thought was that maybe, and we've seen in the past as well, whenever Indian companies are pushed to the wall, they react. Maybe this is the first reaction from the biggest IT company, which is TCS, cutting down 2% workforce. So, again, it's not about AI or just cutting in the workforce. I think it's more about growth and priorities to be set. And I discussed this, right? If it's not a 1 quarter or 2 quarter phenomenon. If you just look at last 10 years of data for these large cap IT names, all the 4-5 large IT companies have reported just single-digit top-line growth and bottom-line growth. So clearly there is a bit of a mismatch. Of course, all these stocks haven't got derated only because of the cash that they have and the dividends as they pay. So I guess this is the first step by TCS. Again, the priorities has to be set, and maybe more has to be invested in the future businesses. So again, I think it's a first sign of one of the companies pushed to the wall and reacting by cutting the workforce. So that's my first bet on TCS cutting down the workforce.
Okay, this is as so many angles to this one, but as that data points out, we've been in slow phase for a while, right? Slow growth phase for a while. And hopefully, as Nimesh said, back against the wall, things will change. And we'll talk more about this one. But these are large organizations, 6 lakh people, over 6 lakh people, right? You got to...
Indian top 4 IT companies hire more than 1.4 million, right? Yeah. Out of which, of course, 60 lakh is coming in from TCS itself, but large organization.
Yeah. And so... That is one kind of view out there, that difficult to pivot large. I mean, it's like a, 36, 40-wheel trailer truck. It's difficult to move it around. But there are ways to do it, and I think we've discussed that. As I said, we did a full 30-40-minute episode on the editor's playbook. You can find it online at CNBC TV18 Access. And of course, here on television, we will continue this topic through the course of the day. Prakash, any thoughts here on TCS per se as a stock for our viewers this morning?
I think, Prashant, this was kind of inevitable. We could see it coming. Large cap IT has been sluggish in terms of most metrics, particularly growth. Now in hindsight, of course, we can surmise a lot of things out of this, saying the cash should have been used for some smart acquisitions, promising futuristic acquisitions in AI and robotics and all. And mind you, there's lots that's available in Europe, particularly. Ask any investment banker, and there is a significant deal pipeline, although a bit smaller for some of these large companies to dabble in. But they'll have to rework the strategy, and maybe if it's not AI, it's about a mismatch, a skill set mismatch. Keeping a bench like this is going to get redundant. So this is going to happen to other companies also. So the signal is some of the other largest companies will also have to rethink on their strategy in terms of the bench. But TCS, I think it's most of it is priced in. There's been disappointment on a lot of counts in the last month or so, including the numbers. So I don't think there's too much of a reaction, except for a sentimental dip which you could get in the markets.
Yeah, let's see. Prashant, on the point that it should be largely viewed positive by the market, but there are the outliers as well. For instance, I was looking at what Jefferies is saying. They're saying in the near term, this cut could lead to execution slippages and higher long-term attrition as well. So, we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, mathematically speaking, you just save on salaries. And that to that extent, obviously, it's
based on this, the point is, should you trade TCS based on this news flow? My answer is no. I mean, it just sparks a larger debate, which is what we're having in terms of, and that debate that we had on
about what is the future sort of direction.
Yeah, based on this, I mean, if you really are focused on taking a trade, I mean, that's like a bit of a forced thing.
Absolutely.